How's it going, metalheads? Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be doing a new series on the channel, starting a new one. I know it says in the channel description that I do album reviews. Haven't done any of those yet, so this will be my first one to date. So album review number 1 today. The album we're going to be reviewing is War Without End by Warbringer. Let's get started. War Without End was Warbringer's first full-length album. I believe they had an EP and several demos before it, but it was their first full-length, their debut full-length. It was originally released on February 5th, 2008 by Century Media Records. It features founding vocalist and only constant member John Cavill, as well as longtime member and current guitarist Adam Carroll. It features short-time drummer Ryan Bates, as well as brothers Andy and John Lowe on bass and guitar. Pretty stacked lineup in terms of Warbringer. This is one of their most solid albums, I think. And I may do other Warbringer reviews in the future, we'll see. But anyway, on a personal note, the opening track to this album, it's called Total War. It was very influential to me as I was getting into thrash metal. It introduced me to Warbringer very early on, and I've been a regular listener of them ever since. As I said, the first track is called Total War. It has the longest sample intro of all of them. It's like 10 or 20 seconds, I think. It's just a war zone with the boots marching and the guns and the aircraft in the background, but it leads into a drum intro and a quick scale before John Cavill lets out a pretty good mighty scream. The tempo change in the chorus fits the song very well. He absolutely bellows the song title during the chorus, which really fits the song. Just the ripper of an opening track. Lots of scales throughout from Adam Carroll, and the last 30 seconds really exemplify their ability to change speeds. There's a lot of tempo changes on this album, especially in this track. So really just ferocious opening track from Warbringer, but it fit the album very well. Track 2 is called Systematic Genocide. There's a very chuggy 000 main riff. You know what that is. It's basically just hitting the open string, the lowest string. There's lots of chugs in this track. Nice gallops toward the end. Very tight and precise picking from Adam and John, who are the guitarists. They stayed together very well on this track. Track number 3 is called Dread Command. There's a harmonizing intro riff. Again, they're very precise and staying together on that. Double bass drumming is very prominent in this track. It has a booming rhythm, tremolo picking, and the solo pairs really well with the double bass. That track is pretty good. Track number 4 is called Hell on Earth. The intro is, again, I think it's harmonizing, and it's really reminiscent of Nwabum, New Wave of British Heavy Metal. So there may be a little bit of influence there. Nice little touch before it absolutely rips your face off. There's a very shreddy solo. It fits the lightning fast tempo of this entire track. The whole track's just ripping through. Track number 5 is called At the Crack of Doom. There's a little acoustic intro, leads into a slow, doomy electric riff, followed by furious tremolo picking, reminiscent of death metal, actually. It reminds me a lot of it. Very thrashy riff, as is consistent with the entire album. If you don't know tremolo picking, it's where you hold one note and just pick it really fast and then switch to another one. It's not like many notes at once. It's just holding one, picking it really fast. It's really consistent with death metal tremolo picking. There's a lot of that in death metal, so it reminds me a lot of it. Track 6 is called Beneath the Waves. It starts off with a sample. It's sonar pinging from a submarine, as is consistent with the song title. There's a lot of tempo changes. They stand out on the song, and the solo concludes this track very nicely. Not much to say about it. Just another solid thrash metal track. There we go. Sorry, my brain is not braining today. But anyway, track number 7 is called Instruments of Torture. There's really not any lead up to this one, save for a sample of a sword slicing or sharpening, I guess, on a stone. Like the shink. And then it just rips your face off again with just grimy, chuggy thrash madness. The band helps Cavill out on the chorus, which adds to the ferocity of it. They shout it out with him. It's one of the few times this album features group vocals, and it complements the track well. There's some Kerry King-esque Whammy Bar work leading into the solo. Maybe some influence there. I'm not sure, but that's what it sounded like to me. Track number 8 is called Shoot to Kill. It starts out with a sample of the cocking of a weapon. It leads up the track perfectly. Again, the samples on this album are great. And they're short, minus the opener, but they just really open these tracks super well. Very chuggy riff. There's little tempo change on this song, except for the middle part with the scales and the kill chant. That's a nice touch. I really like that. But yeah, track number 9 is called Born of the Ruins. There's nice guitar harmonization that leads off the track. followed by a piercing scream from John Cavil, almost Halford-esque, I would say. Yeah, I would say it's pretty Rob Halford-esque on that one. John Cavil definitely has a great thrash vocal range. He's very high-pitched at times, but can also do some growls. Like lots of the tracks on the album, or most of them at least, there's just a solid thrash metal song, tight guitar riffs and crispy leads, very well done. Track 10 is called Combat Shock. There's more whammy bar work, and it leads off this track. There's slower chords on this one, letting it ring out more than the others. Nice leads, and there's more tremolo picking, especially during the solo. As he puts it in the song, John Cavil, the band launches a surprise attack about 3/4 through with another perfect tempo shift, and Cracking Thunder concludes yet another solid track. So yeah, the samples, like I said, they just really bring this album to life. Track 11 is the final track. It's called Epicus Maximus. It's an instrumental closer, and it leads off with a minute of silence on the recording. Some of the parts in this one remind me of metalcore, actually. I think the chords and the notes in this one are the most uplifting sounding ones of the entire album. If you're not aware, Warbringer, as evidenced by their name, use a lot of war themes and battle and stuff like that, and so their songs are usually pretty, depressing, and I wouldn't say depressing, but more just like, they're not really happy songs. They're more about like killing people and, going to battle and stuff like that. So I think the chords in this one are the most uplifting sounding in the entire album. It puts a nice twist at the end. Yeah, and there's no vocals, so you're not allowed, you're not able to get depressed by, John Cavil screaming about killing people and, bloody battles and stuff. But I think it's a great closer. I think it really concludes the album nicely, and it fades out at the end. It concludes this really good, satisfying thrash record. So yeah, my overall verdict on it, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. It's a very solid thrash record as debut albums go. It's supremely talented. Cavil and the guys really set the bar for Warbringer albums to come with this one. They really showed what they could do right out of the gate. And I think that influenced the reception that their albums got later on in their career. Just because of the, this really solidified them as, legends of the second thrash wave. So yeah, 8 out of 10, very solid thrash record. And it's one of my favorites by Warbringer to this day. As I said, it was very influential for me and introduced me to them. Obviously not when it came out. I was born in 2008. I didn't start getting into metal until about, 2021, 2022-ish. But that track, and especially this whole album, was really influential to me. So, yeah, pretty good album. I definitely recommend it if you're looking for some thrash and you haven't listened to Warbringer at all. I'd say definitely start out with their debut. So yeah, this was album review number 1. This was a review of War Without End by Warbringer. I will do more album reviews in the future. So comment below if you guys like this thing that I'm doing with the album reviews. Yeah, hope you're all doing well. Have a nice day. See ya.